Another Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame Spotlight interview, and we're pleased to be joined by Bill Sutton, class of 1974 and 2021 inductee into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame. And my young years watching some of your teams, Bill, is some of the greatest memories I have. Can you speak a little bit about the Tiger teams of the 70s, maybe some of the coaches, some of the guys you played with? It just seemed like there was such good success.
Yes, our 1974 team was, I think, one of the better Tiger teams. Coach Gill was our coach. Coach Paxton was the assistant. I was a good player on a really good team. We had 6'9" Ray Nazer, we had Brad Beal, Dave Dutton, Bill McKissick. We had a really good team, and we had a pretty tough schedule that we played.
Yeah, I think about the boosters, the fans, the colors, the T-shirts, the warm-ups. All these things come back into my mind. There was just a certain group of people. I mean, it just seemed like the whole town would show up for those games. Did that feel the same for you?
Oh yes, there was nothing like walking in the gym and just seeing, it was packed. And there would be people out in the lobby watching. I mean, it felt good to have the support of the town.
I think back then it was like AA, single A, triple A, right?
Yes, and Marietta was the smallest of the AAA schools in the whole state.
And I know at least your last year, I think you were player of the year and ended up being the all-time leading scorer at Marietta High School.
Yes, that would be correct.
That's good stuff. So is there a game that stands out in your mind? A lot of times I think when folks look back, there's one that might jump out, whether it's a game or a play or a shot or anything like that.
Well, the most memorable game for me personally would probably be the 1972 Marietta versus Newark game at Newark, which just happened to be the game that I scored my most points. It was just a memorable game. I think the biggest game that our team played, which is a game that probably got overlooked, is when we played Columbus Linden McKinley my senior year. And we knocked them off and jumped into the top 10 for a couple weeks.
Bill Sutton is our guest, class of 1974 Marietta High School, 2021 inductee into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame. We're going to take a break and come back and take a little skip down the block to Washington School. We'll do that with Bill Sutton right after this.
One of America's great radio stations, WMOA, celebrating 75 years of local radio.
Johnny Wharf back with Bill Sutton, class of 1974, and again, a spotlight on this year's 2021 inductees into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame. And I mentioned prior to the break that we were going to skip down to Washington School, so that was my first ever look at what I remember as Big Bill Sutton as a young boy. And I'm not that much not that much younger than you, but I do remember Washington School and some of the games that took place. And when they put those lights in, it just seemed like guys would sit and wait their turn and play all night, whether it was the chain link nets or the red, white, and blue nets. I know we had to change them a lot, but kind of talk about those early days.
Oh, you're bringing back some great memories, Johnny. Coach, I actually have heard a rumor that Coach Gill actually had something to do with having those lights put up at Washington School. So people would come, like you were saying, not only from our area, but they came from all over to play there just because of the lights, I think.
Bill, I remember
some amazing games.
Yeah, I remember there was
players.
Like you push a button, and they were on timers. This is probably the first of their kind, when I think about it, and particularly for a grade school. But and then you could be in the middle of a game, and those babies would go off. All you had to do was push a button again, right?
Yeah, you could go over and reset, and you could probably play pretty much up until 11:30.
And I remember your brother Kim talk a little bit about the family dynamic, and if there was that good old school backyard stuff that you played with your brother, or if the sister got involved.
Well, my brother and I were very close, and we had some great games all summer long. We would play together every day, and I hope that it made him a better player. He ended up being a all-state player himself at Ohio Deaf School. So I would say that we had some memorable games.
And then, I asked, I think Theresa Pettit, for a girl going into the Hall of Fame in your same class, I think she's a class of 06, but a softball player. She's
a softball player. My daughter played with her.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
Well, I said, and you might have a better perspective on this than me, but I said, what happens? When it ends, it just ends for somebody like that, because there isn't really that next level. You obviously got to go to Richmond and on to play ball at Robert Morris, and then after that, probably in some, I don't know what they would call beer league or out, down around the corner or with the kids. You can still keep the game going for you. So did you do that? Do you still do that?
Well, not now. I did a little bit of coaching, with my kids growing up, and I played a little bit of summer league and city league, but nothing really too serious.
And then you mentioned some of those names just to bring it back. The memories, are there still guys that you went to high school with and played ball with that you are in touch with?
Well, I just ran into Brad Beal a couple of days ago. Now that you mention it, he still lives in town. I know Dave Dutton still lives here. Big Ray still lives in town. So the main players on our team still live around this area, most of them.
Oh, that's
and
good.
I do run into them occasionally.
All right. Last thought about going into this induction class, if somebody at some point would have made that call to you and said, hey, Bill, we want you to go into this, what's that feel like, here so many years on, still being recognized for what happened back in the mid-'70s?
Well, of course, you probably know your brother Chris is the one who nominated me, which I really appreciate Chris doing that. He gave me the call, and it does feel good to be recognized, so late on. I'm glad that Marietta has decided to have this Hall of Fame and continue traditions of players, through the years. I think it's good for the school.
Yeah, for a 12-year-old, as I was when you were playing ball in '70, I'm telling you, I was excited, as excited to go to Sutton Gym as I was to go to Washington School and take all that in, because I wasn't very good, but I was a good fan, and so I'll carry that with me. And I know my old man loved doing the games as well. So great to talk to you. Appreciate all your thoughts, and look forward to seeing you on Saturday the 18th.
I appreciate that, Johnny, and I will see you this weekend.